Kenyan President William Ruto has caved to pressure and withdrawn the contentious finance bill. The proposed law, which sought to hike taxes, led to widespread protests in the country, which is already battling high living costs. Over 20 people have died in the clashes.
On my own behalf, and on behalf of these members and many other Kenyans, I send my condolences to the families of those who lost their loved ones in this very unfortunate manner. Consequently, having reflected on the continuing conversation around the content of the Finance Bill 2024, and listening keenly to the people of Kenya who have said loudly that they want nothing to do with this Finance Bill 2024, I concede, and therefore I will not sign the 2024 Finance Bill, and it shall subsequently be withdrawn, and I have agreed with these members that that becomes our collective position.
Well, let's get the latest on the ground in Kenya now, and we speak to Voice of America journalist Kennedy Wandera, who is live for us in Nairobi. Kennedy, good evening to you, and thank you for your time. President Ruto literally changing his tune overnight. He said that these protests were infiltrated by rogue elements and that this was not to be tolerated. Today, he is talking about a completely different, as if he's a completely different man. He's conveying condolences to families who've lost loved ones, while at the same time saying that he is not going to sign this bill. What has changed?
What has changed is that there is a sustained pressure from the public, especially the young people, who are saying that the president needed to have realized that the country was not in the right direction by trying to cough up about 300 billion Kenya shillings to fill the gaps in his budget for 2024-2025 financial year, which will enable him to run his government through revenue that is collected domestically. But Kenyans have been reminding him that you cannot do this. You have to totally reject the bill because it does not truly reflect the wishes of the Kenyan people, and the majority of things that Kenyans participated in and raised during the public participation were not captured in this particular bill, and therefore you have to reject it. But after days, of course, of President trying to appear to not to listen to what Kenyans have been saying, ultimately Tuesday was the day that then pushed the president towards accepting the reality on the ground that Kenyans are not really convinced with this particular bill, and with the reports that they were going to again protest on Thursday. I think the president must have realized that it was getting out of hand, and then he thought it was necessary to withdraw the bill completely and begin a conversation with the Kenyans.
We'll talk in a moment, Kennedy, about the impact of withdrawing this bill, but the reality is that, yes, the president may have now committed to withdrawing this bill altogether. However, there are 20 bodies, over 20 bodies in mortuaries, I'm sure all around Nairobi. Surely this has got to be a very, very bad reflection on his administration.
It is a very bad situation, and like you say, the impact of this bill, of course, the president had to balance between collecting 300 billion Kenya shillings and also listen to the Kenyans, some who've been killed and injured in the protests that have rocked the country for the last 2 weeks now. And what is happening at the moment is that of course, the president has sent the condolences to the bereaved families. But yesterday, the president was adamant, saying that he really appreciates the security forces for trying to shield the constitutional institutions, and then commending them for a job well done. But today, Wednesday, the government has been pushed to a corner after there have been reports that many people have been killed by the excesses of the security forces. So I think maybe he might have been caught in a catch-22 situation, and he had no many choices to choose from other than to totally reject signing or assenting to the bill as it is and returning to the parliament. But earlier reports actually had indicated that the president was going to decline to assent to the bill and return it with his own reservations. But when he addressed the public, he said that he is declining to sign, and at the same time, he is withdrawing. But now the questions that are emerging right now is that the National Assembly has proceeded to the recess for a short period of time until 23rd July this year. But the president is, by law and the standing orders of the National Assembly, required to, if he's not going to assent to the bill, he has a period of 14 days to send the recommendations or to send the bill back to the National Assembly with his reservations and isolating areas that he requires to be reviewed. But this is not the case at the moment. The National Assembly has proceeded on a short recess. The president has 14 days. The bill has 14 days. If the president is not going to assent to that particular bill, and that bill has not been sent to the parliament, as he says, then it automatically becomes law. So we are waiting to see whether the president is going to, maybe through the lead of majority in the National Assembly, to notify the speaker that within the period when the members of parliament, members of the National Assembly have gone on recess, there is going to be a special sitting of the National Assembly for the members of parliament to come and debate the motion of withdrawing the bill. But as it is at the moment, it is a situation where Kenyans are saying it is not tenable and it's not possible that the president has withdrawn the bill because in law, he hasn't done much.
Yeah. Now that this bill, as he says, it's now withdrawn, he did say, though, that it was intended to address, among other issues, the agricultural sector, which is heavily indebted. Some of the farmers need financial help. He also committed to cutbacks in spending by, for example, his office. The presidency is going to have severe cutbacks, whether it be travel or any other spending of that nature. Little too late, though, given the calamity that we have seen on the ground. How much support do you think he is likely to get after this action today of withdrawing this bill?
Like you say, too little, too late. Withdrawing the bill as it is, some Kenyans are already saying that it is too late for the president to do that, especially when people have been killed by security forces and others injured. And two, it's coming at a time when the National Assembly, members of the National Assembly are going on recess. So automatically, it may sail through on technicalities. But at the same time, young people are saying that they are likely to go back on the streets on Thursday to occupy government institutions. So we don't know whether they are going to show up after this. But in the build-up to what is happening, religious leaders, the political leaders inside the country and outside the country have already voiced their concern about what is happening in the country with the heavy-handedness of the security forces to disperse young protesters. So it is not known whether President at this particular time has much support from the Kenyan people after withdrawing the bill, because what I have said in terms of the law, what the Constitution stipulates for the president to do, he has not yet done that because there has to be a motion in Parliament for the bill to be withdrawn completely. That has not been the case because the Parliament in the morning of Wednesday went on a recess. So Kenyans are saying the bill has 14 days after it has been passed in the third reading. So Kenyans are saying, where are we? The president hasn't explained whether members of parliament are going to have a special sitting to withdraw this particular bill. So that's why they are saying that this is not something that they can resonate well with until there is that clarity on whether the president is going to withdraw the bill completely through the members of parliament, because it is National Assembly that it has the mandate in law to completely withdraw the bill. So we wait to see whether they are going to go on the streets again on Thursday, tomorrow, and whether there is going to be any assurance from the president that it's going to happen as he says. And in the case of austerity measures, it's not the first time President Ruto has said that his government is initiating austerity measures. Instead, after cutting budgets and after trying to do away with what many have labeled as ghost workers on the national payroll, which pushes up the national wage bill, the president has been consistent in saying that it's a time that the country now lives within its means. But as you know, the president has been out of the country, and many Kenyans have been raising questions why the president is always in the air, traveling from one country to the other, and having many trips, even domestically. And many do not actually appreciate that the president is saying that he is instituting austerity measures in government, cutting budgets from the office of the presidency, National Assembly or Parliament, and the judiciary. But they are saying that the president has to act with clarity and tell Kenyans what exactly he's trying to cut. But of course, I've spoken to economic experts who say maybe the president says what he's trying to do is trying to make sure that maybe the finance bill of 2023 is still in motion, but it was supposed to elapse by the 1st of July when this particular bill comes into force. And maybe the president is trying to find ways through which he can rejiggle the budget of 3.9 trillion Kenya shillings, which has a gap of about 500 billion Kenya shillings that have to be raised through taxes and domestic borrowing.
Yeah.
And many are wondering if the president is going to continue borrowing more.
Finally, Kennedy, and briefly if you can, politically, is William Ruto on safe ground? And I ask this knowing full well that Raila Odinga has been his strongest opponent since he lost elections to Ruto. Has he said anything about what's going on in the country?
Yes, Raila Odinga has yesterday, on Tuesday, he issued a statement, and the statement was a little bit targeted to President Ruto's regime, saying that why do you use excess force against young Kenyans, young boys and girls who are trying to ask you to make sure that they can get a bread, they can get a food on the table? Why do you have to use excess in force by that was seen by the security forces to disperse them when they are asking you? Let's have a conversation. Withdraw the bill and have a conversation with the Kenyans who feel that raising additional 300 billion in taxes is going to make their lives unbearable and push the cost of living high. And you're saying that the government needs to listen to its people, needs to listen to the young people who are saying it's getting to a point where Kenyans cannot afford even basic commodity. For instance, before this pressure, the president had put taxes, VAT on sanitary pads, had put taxes on bread, had put taxes on financial transactions and even diaspora remittances. And this was infuriating Kenyans. Even transferring money from a mobile phone to your bank, or transferring from your bank to your phone, for mobile transactions, it was getting difficult because the government was saying that we are going to put tax there.
Yeah.
The first and Kenyans were saying, by the virtue that the president had to sit and conceal such kind of an idea, it doesn't augur well with us as people. And that's why they were saying that we needed a conversation. And that's what Mr. Odinga was reiterating, saying that it is quite unfortunate in 61 years of Kenya's democracy, after it has been declared independence, that such kind of things are being witnessed in a country, and this kind of a bill can come at the behest of Kenyan lives when the president has the duty to safeguard Kenyans and even implement some of the promises that he made during his campaigning in 2022, when he said that it is not feasible and it is not possible that our government can levy taxes on young people on Kenyans when life is unbearable.
Kennedy Wandera, thank you very much for that comprehensive update, giving us a situation on the ground.